maintain the marriage, lose the weight or whatever. If you made the commitment when you hit the wall, not if, when you hit the obstacle, the first thing you think about is, boy, how can I solve the problem? If you haven't made the commitment, boy, how can I get out of this deal? See, we find what we are looking for. Now, on the way to work the next morning, you made the commitment. On the way to work, you're just talking to yourself like crazy. Well, the first thing I'm going to do when I get there is this, and boy, I know I can handle this, and I know I can do that. Yeah, I'll take care of that. Now, when you get there, there's only one change in your organizational structure that you should change. Instead of the most important thing for number one, you ought to put the most disagreeable thing. If you got to go deal with Charlie, if that sucker's been a thorn in your side and you got to handle the situation today, you go deal with Charlie. Now, if he's number 5 on the list, you finish number 1 and you're thinking about Charlie. Finish number 2, got to deal with Charlie. Finish number 3, got to deal with Charlie. Get Charlie out of the way. Like this old boy down home says, friend, if you're going to have to swallow a frog, you just don't want to look at that sucker too long. I mean, he ain't going to get no prettier. He really is not. So, you get there on time, maybe even a little earlier. Now, the boss likes that. I mean, she's probably watching you, and so when you get there on time, even a few minutes early, on the day before vacation, I guarantee you, you're at least on time. And you get there, and you don't look around and say, whoa, wonder what I ought to do first. I mean, you've got a plan of action, you're a self-starter, and you are optimistic that you're going to be able to get the job done. You become the kind of person that would take their last $2 and buy a money belt. I mean, basically, that's what you are. Or, I tell folks I'm so optimistic, I'll put a dime in the parking meter while the redhead goes shopping. Now, if that's not optimism, I don't know what optimism is. Okay. Now, you get started, you get your job done, and you see that start's so important. Joe Saba put it this way. You don't have to be great to start, but you got to start to be great. See, a lot of people never get started. You're extremely enthusiastic. I mean, you're just so carried away with it. And then let me talk about enthusiasm just a minute. You see, enthusiasm's kind of like running in the dark. You might get there, but you might get killed on the way. Blind enthusiasm, if you're going in the wrong direction, that just means you're going to get in the wrong place quicker. Now, what you've got here, though, is a plan of action. Enthusiasm with a plan of action will produce dramatic results, and you're going on a lighted path. That's exactly what you are doing, and you are one more highly motivated person. You decisively move from one thing to another. You focus on the issue at hand. You discipline yourself to stay with the task until that task is completed. If somebody comes along and says, hey, did you watch that game last night? Scrimmage between those two teams. Boy, wasn't that neat? You say, look, I'd like to do that. I've got some things to do. How many of you have noticed that, as a general rule, people with nothing to do want to do it with you? Have you noticed that? Okay. Well, now, the interesting thing is that when you are organized and disciplined, moving from one task to another, somehow or another, they just don't get in the way. They see that you've got something to do. And that enthusiasm and discipline shows up. Kind of like little Johnny. Now, he was a one enthusiastic kid. Second grader. One Friday afternoon, teacher said, now, class, anybody has any unusual experience this weekend, let me know on Monday. The class will want to hear about it. Well, on Monday morning, little Johnny was a pistol. I mean, he was sitting there, and that kid was all over the place sitting still. I mean, and the teacher could tell, Johnny, I bet you had a good weekend. Yes, ma'am, I sure did. What'd you do, Johnny? Me and my daddy went fishing, and we caught 75 catfish. They all weighed 75 pounds. Now, Johnny, son, that's not the truth. Yes, ma'am, it is. My dad is a great fisherman. I'm even better than he is. We caught 75 catfish. They all weighed 75 pounds. Now, Johnny, if I were to tell you that on the way to work this morning, on the way to school this morning, just before I got here, a big old 1,200-pound grizzly bear ran up out of nowhere and was just about to grab me and eat me up, when suddenly a little old 8-pound yeller dog jumped up, grabbed him by the nose, threw him down, bounced him back and forth, broke his neck and killed him. Johnny, would you believe that? He said, oh, yes, ma'am. I said, as a matter of fact, that's my dog. You kind of put all of this together. You see, the discipline is important. The enthusiasm is important. The persistence is important. You see, 175 of the CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies are former U.S. Marines. 26 of our presidents served in the military. Now, what do they teach in the military? They teach discipline and persistence and focus and organization and direction, and all of these things are right there. And these are the qualities that would make you a better husband, a better wife, a better parent, a better employee, a better employer, the whole bit. And long about now, you know, that positive mental attitude, that old PMA kicks into gear. I don't believe there's anybody in America that is as excited about the positive mental attitude as I am. Now, one of the reasons I am is because I believe I understand what positive thinking will let you do. I also understand what positive thinking won't do. I get very concerned when I hear some highly motivated, enthusiastic, gung-ho guy or gal get up and say, man, with positive thinking, you can just do anything. That ain't positive thinking, that is New Age thinking. Now, New Age thinking basically says all is one and one is all, and I am God. Well, there are three things I know. Number one, there is a God. Number two, it ain't me. Number three, it ain't you either. Okay. Now, the reality is positive thinking won't let you do anything. But it will let you do everything better than negative thinking will. In the live audience, can you buy that? Listen to this tape. Are you buying that? You see, positive thinking will let you use the ability you have, and that is awesome. But there are some things it won't let you do. For example, Shaquille O'Neal, over 300 pounds of highly motivated, enthusiastic, revved up, raring to go basketball player, one of the most positive thinkers I've ever seen, but he would be a total failure as a jockey. Nate Newton plays the line for the Dallas Cowboys, 340 pounds, give 100, take 100. Now, Nate Newton, also outstanding, positive, optimistic, really a neat guy. He just flat couldn't make it, though, in ballet. I mean, I don't care how positive he got. I'm positive, but I can't slam dunk a basketball. And I've tried. Twice. You know. If you need major surgery, I'm positive, but I don't recommend me. No, positive thinking won't let you do anything, but it will let you do everything better than negative thinking will. Let me tell you about positive thinking. When we walked in here earlier tonight, this room was pitch black. They flipped some switches. It became lighted. Flipping switches didn't generate electricity. It released it. Had it not already been generated, we'd still be in a dark room. The youngster who thinks they can go in to take a test and pass it with positive thinking but hadn't studied, he's going to flunk that sucker. Now, you can just count on it. But if he has studied, the positive thinking will release the information and he can put it on paper. We can document hundreds of cases where when kids changed their attitude, they were able to call up the information and make dramatically better grades in class and in any area of their life. The truth is, you became a very, very positive individual because you had a plan of action and you became a team player. Now, team play is obviously something that is extremely important. Positive thinking and team play kind of go together. I love the story Lou Holtz tells. Incidentally, Lou Holtz has been using our goal-setting system ever since he was at the University of Arkansas. His Notre Dame team follows it. He uses this system to help his team pass and graduate. That's their first goal. And then he uses it to blend them into the team. One of Lou's favorite stories, which I love the most, he's telling a story about this fellow's out in a rural area and his car slid in the ditch. There's a farmhouse close by, and he went to the farmer and said, "Can you help me?" He said, "I don't have a jack." The old farmer said, "Well, I got old mule Dusty, but he's kind of hard of hearing and getting kind of old. I don't know if he can or not, but I'll be willing to give it a try." Well, they got old Dusty, they took him out and they hooked him up to the car, and the old farmer got behind him, and he, in a very loud voice said, "Pull, Billy, pull!" Nothing. "Pull, Roscoe, pull!" Nothing. "Pull, Charlie, pull!" Nothing. "Pull, Dusty, pull!" And old Dusty pulled that car right out of the ditch. Got out of the ditch, and the fellow said, "I don't understand. You were calling on Billy, and you were calling on Roscoe and Charlie, and there wasn't but one mule there. What are you doing?" He said, "Well, like I say, Dusty's getting kind of old. He's hard of hearing, can't see very good. Tell you the truth, he got a little negative in his old age. And if he thought he had to pull that car out by himself..." But as long as he thought he had a lot of help there, the team was with him, he figured he could do it, and out it came. But I make another important point. Until he called Dusty by name, Dusty didn't move. That's one of the keys right there. The name of another person is very, very important. Giant Belgian horse on its own can pull 8,000 pounds. Hook him up with another giant Belgian, the team will pull 17,000 pounds. Send him off to school, teach him to pull in harmony, the team will pull over 25,000 pounds. Can you imagine what would happen if we could get every member of your family, every member of your company? It's awesome. One of the reasons our mission statement is so pretentious in some people's mind. I believe the day is